I don't know what's going on here, but luckily there's a car, so E36 can get out of there. Thank God. That would have been a disaster for them, but they avoid it. James coming over as well, wanted to get involved. He probably has a gun, actually. So if Shanks was able to keep that E36 player under wraps at that tree, then I think he was certainly dead, but not the case. Sylphia to the rescue. And yeah, this circle, if there's one criticism or one area that you can criticize on Taego, at least from a pro player's perspective, as a pro player, you want to have things that you're actually able to play around, whether it's hard cover, pieces of terrain, things like that. Generally, flat ground is justifiably criticized, and this is one of those areas that probably needs a little bit of a touch-up, just to be a little bit more forgiving and kind of get rid of those super long, flat lines and give the players some space to play around. But this is the other thing that caught my eye early on. It was Roy and Panic hot dropping each other. Now this is a Roy, mind you, who's in second, and a Panic, mind you, who's very close to that kind of top 5 if they were to have a decent game. So this is a fantastic opportunity for Panic to capitalize on a hot drop here. I don't really know who I have as a favor this on paper. Potentially Roy,
Cik Sun. Selamat datang pemirsa. Selamat datang, saya Bindeng Gaming akan menemani malam Anda menonton perjalanan FTF di PUBG APAC Qualifier 2024 PS1. Bismillah ya, FTF zone ya. FTF udah chicken guys tadi akhirnya ya. Alhamdulillah. Tidak sia-sia saya nonton sambil buka puasa tadi.
Now to Taego, and suddenly you're in a bit of a battle with Roy Esports, team in second. Obviously had a great start to the night.
Yo absen.
The mechanical gun skill though against
Jangan lupa absen dulu adik-adik, di like dulu, di subscribe ya.
Pulling up towards Palace, of course, on this northwest island, and John will lose his life to Jacob. Reluctant squad has been one of the quiet teams in the bottom 3 at the moment. Just the 8 points and trying to take this fight back. A Panzerfaust will get rid of
FTF coachnya dari Malai mas, habis buka Wikipedia betul. Sapior. Ini Savior itu yang kemarin sempat main juga deh di event deh kalau nggak salah ya. Itu gue juga baru tahu sih sejujurnya ya. Ini belum apa-apa, RS udah down 2 guys. Doain aja guys yang terbaik ya buat FTF, nggak usah muluk-muluk, yang penting stabil, konsisten, kill ada, placement ada gitu ya. Ini suara nggak kegedean kan guys, aman ya. Mantan coach PUBG nggak asing banget Sapior guys namanya.
More information as well from Panic Esports. If you can land the double heady, it opens it up.
This
is just a weird stalemate. It feels like everyone, every position of every player is probably known, but no one's actually taking any meaningful fights. It's just pot shots with DMRs. Vang Nai sitting on that roof. Finally, Dusky's able to open it up with that Dragunov. I said it. Pretty sure that was just a one tap with the Dragunov. Vang Nai down, and all of a sudden Panic with a big opportunity.
Berapa game ini bang? Total 24 game. Hari ini total 6 match. Jadi kita total masih ada 3 match, termasuk dengan match yang ini ya. Diambil 4 besar selain day trade sama chess. Jadi misalkan day trade sama chess rank atas itu slotnya nanti nggak 1-4 jatuhnya. Nyarinya 4 selain mereka dah, intinya mah gitu guys. Paham kan? GMC juga nobar tuh nanti, nobar kalau kepilih ya. Ngomong-ngomong udah bisa nyicil voting sih. Tapi nggak kelihatan. Nggak gue munculin di sini. Tapi udah gue aktifin kalau nggak salah ya. Tapi nggak usah lah, bagi-bagi aja guys. Mana Mas Pet, mana? Nggak tahu ya. Mas Pet
Little tag here from Tarnish.
Kayaknya lagi main sih sama L nggak sih?
Haven't really seen these guys at all so far tonight.
Quality time nggak sih guys?
Back to the PUBG Asia Super Cup, and they had a pretty good time there for the most part, and then kind of fell away as the tournament went on. Unfortunately, they haven't really got going. I mean, 13
Gue sih
points.
berdoa bagi-bagi segera muncul fiturnya ya guys ya, biar anti delay gitu. Capek banget kalau Saweria kudu refresh manual kalau lagi di ujung tuh.
Not reaching expectations essentially. When you look at the players on that team, Sophia obviously Payne, Tarnished is formerly known as Lin, a very talented Chinese player. So
nggak mau masih dulu katanya. Lu ngomong apa sih?
They can be a real threat in the lobby.
Lu ngomong apa sih bang? Nggak mau masih dulu apa sih?
Certainly hoping for it.
Iya biar nggak perlu VAR. Narawikan gue juga nggak perlu manual refresh gitu loh. Gue udah nge-request sih jujur aja guys. Pas gue pakai bagi-bagi tuh sebenarnya banyak request. Ya requestnya buat lebih bagus sih. Contoh simple kayak delay notifikasi. Jadi yang kemarin sempat error itu ternyata habis perubahan guys. Delay notifikasi bagi-bagi itu kan 10 detik. Paling mentok kiri. Gue minta biar di 0 detikin biar kita leluasa gitu nyeting delaynya. Bukan delay sih lebih tepatnya lama notifikasinya. Karena gue ngerasa 10 detik itu kelamaan. Belum delay ini ya, fade in fade out itu bisa 15 detik kan total.
Yeah, nice shot from Pure Boy. Jane will go down even with the M249.
AE36 sudah mulai menyala. Tadi gua ngeliat 2 game dibantai di Erangel sama FTF guys karena rebutan Yasnaya ya. This is AE36. Sepertinya mereka tidak nge-end ya. Anaknya santai banget ya. Kalau gue jadi mereka sih gue end itu. Lumayan bang 1 kill. Bukan error gara-gara predictive tuh timingnya aja. Jadi karena gua request 1-2 hari kemudian udah diubah ternyata. Masalah delay, jadi fitur delay 0 detik itu mulai ini fitur durasi ya. Susah nih gitu. Durasi 0 detik udah ada sekarang. Nah kemarin kenapa notifnya yang error karena dia mungkin tiba-tiba reset 0 detik gitu. Jadi baru muncul udah hilang. Sedangkan suaranya ada gitu. MAG isinya hantu ranked ya mas. Kayaknya ya, belum gua cek satu-satu sih jujur. Gua tadi cuma nonton lewat HP kan. Belum ngecek Wikipedia. Habis inilah. Pokoknya abis match ini kita coba kepo-kepo cek latar belakang atau pemain-pemain dari player-player yang ada di tim sekarang guys. Karena ada tim 8 tim baru nih. Zeni Daya, terima kasih sudah join Platinum. Terima kasih supportnya. Oh, ada Tanawat.
Matching on this kind of circle back in the PCR. Got a 2-2 split right now on the western side. Everyone rotating around them as the marshlands are going to get vacated. RXC to backfill into Hosan Prison, but imagine it'll only be a pit stop if they do. North ahead of it, they need to go. Tags here from Larynx, and so much so gets the knock on endurance. Yeah, nice shots. That's why you always got to back yourself in. If you don't shoot those shots, you're not going to get that knock, and you're not going to get the points if you can go for the flush. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. Asaki trying to maybe see if he can be the one to benefit. Himas will get one onto Flash, and then obviously Larynx to get the other onto.
Main apa tuh? Nobar-nobar doang.
Here on Tego. It's a shocker.
Tade main-main malam ini. Nanti voting sih sebenarnya. Emang ada rencana apa, Bet? Match 1 sampai 3 dapat chicken gak tuh FTF? Dapat chicken di match ketiga tadi. Pas banget gua kelar buka puasa tuh. Chicken ya. Killnya 15 alhamdulillah.
When you're put in a spot where you're playing a qualifier for a tournament you're already going to,
community,
what kind of effect does that have on the mentality? I think day trade is consummate enough to.
Ijoku habis ternyata langsung aja Bang Ferdi. Kalau ada saya tunggu deh. Day trade harus berpulang di tangan UNC. Sepertinya Vietnam versus Thailand cukup panas di match 4 kali ini. Si casternya. Venue online ya bang. Kalau ini online, nanti PGC udah pasti offline. Emang lu puasa bang? Insya Allah bang. Kalau sekarang sih udah buka ya. FTF itu tim e-sport kah apa komunitas doang? E-sport yang under komunitas nggak sih apa? Ya e-sport. Tim e-sport cuman mungkin perorangan kali ya kepemilikannya ya. Bukan yang kayak perusahaan BTR, EVOS, RRQ gitu kan. Tahu gua ya. Kecuali sekarang FTF udah ada kantor sih mungkin. Independen. Ya independen betul. Gue mau ngomong swasta tapi semua swasta anjing. Ya lebih ke independen. FTF lagi main di lembah. Sampingnya ada Bang Rap nih. Di zona ada EA Sport. Masuknya agak susah sih. Bang Zen, terima kasih 5 member gift-nya, berkah selalu abangku. Iya, gua ngomong swasta tapi semua e-sport swasta ya rata-rata. Gak ada tuh yang kayak dari negara gitu. Kita berdua guys di rotasi. Ya Allah baru di triknya keculi. Aduh. Baru bilang gua kita berdoa semoga pas rotasi gak ada yang keculik. Langsung muncul Cheat Kageno. Makasih sudah join membership ya. Gila Bang Cheat nih guys. Cheater ya. Kalau di anime Spotter keculik wajar ya itu Bang Trik kayak mana Trik? Octo efek kah tuh? Gua nonton loh dari match 1, 2, 3 bang. Janganlah gitu. Ingat ucapan adalah dosa. Salah ya. Ucapan adalah dosa. Maaf, bablasan tadi. Tipu.
Yeah, very well could be. What a fascinating circle shift and what that's.
Malam rencana main apa Mas tuh? Kita voting. Di voting ada 3 pilihan. EGMC, lanjut RP, RPIDP, sama THR Kiara. Nah THR Kiara itu bisa lewat bagi-bagi. Jangan lewat Saweria ya, bagi-bagi aja udah. Aku viewer lama Bang To, welcome back abangku. Semoga tua bareng ya. Soalnya kalau lu muda terus takut disangka vampir. Tidak lucu. Sorry.
That's going to be a freebie onto Kane. Still no point for E36.
Oh tahu temennya mundur. Gila ya. Pro player itu instingnya kuat banget dah. Kalau gue sih pasti ngecek dulu itu. Di balik batunya masih ada orang apa enggak ya?
Unfortunately for E36, once again,
Vietnam 4 tim, Thai 4 tim, Taipei 3 tim, Jepang 3 tim, Indo 1 tim, Aussie 1 tim. Nice info bang, terima kasih supportnya ya. Oke, FTF dapat bukit, zonanya aman. Chess harus memikirkan spot masuk ke dalam circle. Sementara IE sepertinya sudah mewaspadai FTF di sini. E36 harus merelakan 2 pemainnya di knockout oleh IE, sedangkan VLTH harus tumbang 1 orang dalam perjalanannya rotasi. Cukup struggle. Vale Thai Esport. Aim goib down 1 kawan-kawan. Jame harus take down oleh X-Men. Anjing X-Men ini baru guys, lihat nih bener gak? Akita nyaris saja terjerok oleh UNQ. UNC, UNQ, nama tim, nama orang mirip nih. Day. Pemain high ground terlihat sepertinya oleh Haisaki. Dimas Teki dari M Goib belum menunjukkan taringnya sepertinya. Masih mencari-cari celah, cari momentum. Jambilan turun di bukit sebelahnya ternyata ya. Maaf nih, soalnya spektator WH ya. Agak susah nih bedain bukit depan atau belakang. Oh, magnetic payload emang gitu. Gue kira MOG loh guys di awal-awal tuh.
Yeah, FTF down to 3, but I like their position. Very much still a game that they can, I think, pick up some very big and valuable points. Thunder's just able to stand still and get that revive onto him. Still will be up for Magnetic, spotting off into the distance the Expendables. And very quiet so far tonight. One kill to begin on the move though, up on that northern side. It's going to be a very tricky position to play out of here in this game.
Apakah MAG harus menabrak X-Men? Down 1, down 2. X-Men 1, tukar 2, tukar 3 sekarang. Tersisa Taniset. Jerok oleh AG di sini. Tanawat juga harus drop di sini ya. Dua tim dipulangkan sekaligus. Sementara TE ini yang sering ketemu di ranked lah pokoknya ya.
Couldn't quite back it up here on Tego, unfortunately. But X-Men, 4 kills, at least got something from this start. And Akita with a frag grenade. So important for the mental for team.
Iya, diganggu sama AG tadi, guys.
A knock onto Dimity. We'll see if they can follow it up with the kill. It looks as if he's off into the distance.
Chaos, cukup chaos ya. FTF sepertinya harus turun gunung. Mungkin opsi terbaik menabrak E36. Sepertinya itu ada lekukan manja ya. Harus down tapi nggak jadi guys. Sepertinya kebuka di situ. WTD sedang menikmati supply drop ya. Seharusnya nih anak-anak lumayan bagus nih peralatannya ya. Wido turun gunung, sepertinya mendapatkan celah. Semoga cukup untuk 3 orang. Terspot saja. Roy harus eliminate di rank 11 oleh UNZ. Sedangkan Rap nabrak VLTH, 1 harus down. Bom dikeluarkan oleh UNQ. Belum ternotis, 1 terkenok oleh Kiss. RXE tersisa siapa? 1 orang yaitu ya. VLTH harus kena third party oleh IE di sini. Harus berpulang di hashtag 10. Rap menyusul di hashtag 9 sepertinya. Zen give 5 membership. Terima kasih banyak Imade Juana, terima kasih udah join membership juga ya. RP jam berapa Mas To? Kita nanti ada voting Bang Zain. Cukup baik, 8 besar, 1 poin masing-masing tim memegang. Irina harus mencari tempat. Siksi sepertinya menemukan tempat di ujung map, tapi di sini ada FTF mulai meraba-raba pinggir zone. Apakah akan bertemu dengan IE kawan-kawan? THR kui. Wih, masih lama sih THR guys. Cuman gue lagi ngumpulin THR untuk ngasih THR nih.
But I guess it's just the nature of which teams have pushed.
Saling ini namanya, saling support nih.
Towards that western side of this hill portion. FTF still very close to E Arena.
Waalaikumsalam Bang Huda. Mas toh votingnya RP sama off stream. Oh.
At the moment for Team Bliss.
Maksudnya gimana nih?
Still 4 up for quite a few teams.
Di voting TR Kiara apa Mas To? Nggak ada sih, iseng doang gitu. Aduh, Cimoy harus kena jerok. Sama siapa tadi? Bisa kan? Selamat kan? Aman kan? Oke guys, kita fokus dulu. Yo reset FTF reset. Aduh, Cimoy sendiri lagi. juga ngepick ya sepertinya. Kondisi kurang baik dari FTF ini kawan-kawan. Aduh, TD harus ke knock out oleh Jacob 1 lawan 3. Rido apakah bisa? Sepertinya tidak bisa ya. Tersisa Aukarin di sini. Sementara Cimoy masih beruhu dia. Terkena di depannya. 1 versus 3 Aukarin. Tidak kelihatan? Maaf. Nah ini dia guys maksudnya. Pas banget di facecam ya kan. Mau kemana ini? Alah. Nice try buat FTF. Hashtag 81 poin yang dikarungi oleh FTF guys. Ini sih jujur ya, zonanya memang agak-agak nih susah banget buat FTF guys. Kita harus tetap semangat guys ya. Harus tetap semangat. Mungkin ini memang waktunya buat yang bawah-bawah. Mungkin ya. Lihat tuh, zonanya kebuka semua. Ini pun satu kompon ya. Drop ini bro. Jol. Wah jelek banget Jol, sumpah. Open banget bang, open. Satu spot satu orang masalahnya ini, kalau tiga-tiganya drop kena bom. Tuh, kebuka semua gimana ini? Ini pasti zona cepat ini. Keluar dikit kelihatan, pick dikit kelihatan semuanya. Tuh, mau gimana coba itu? Ini yang beruntung IE sih. Gua ngerasa dia ini lumayan beruntung guys. Padahal dia lumayan open loh dari tadi. Tapi orang-orang fokusnya malah ke FTF sama ke tim lain gitu. Nah, apakah ini keberuntungan akan berakhir di tangan The Expendables? Jacob harus menumbangkan Duck karena IE drop 2, drop 3, tersisa 1 orang ya. Tersisa Jacob seorang diri di atas. Sepertinya keberuntungan sudah tidak mengalir di sini. Tapi Jacob ternyata beton adik-adik. Tapping manja. Gila. Tapping yang cukup disiplin dari 777 by The Expendables ini mampu menumbangkan dan memulangkan tim EA Sport to the game. Coba. Tanfu. Itu dia. Pro player juga manusia adik-adik. Kadang jrok ya. 777 down. Apakah mampu diselamatkan oleh Kodelwin? Oh masih aman ya, punya kompon dia. Apakah ini guys The Bliss? Ini dia bau banget loh, 3 match guys, 0 loh dia. Padahal waktu di playoff kemarin, sebelumnya malah itu top 1 bro. Kacau. Jauh banget lagi. Ini dia 3 match bau nih. Octoramonth jangan begitulah kau bahas. Sering sih. Yang harusnya udah pasti kena tuh. Biasanya hit terakhir tuh. Gak kena. Gue sih jujur selain FTF, gue dukung day trade sama chess guys. Alasannya simple, karena mereka itu nggak ngerebut slot. Simple itu lah. Mau day trade rank 1 kayak, mau chess rank 1 kayak, nggak peduli. Soalnya slot itu nggak pengaruh ke mereka karena mereka udah punya slot sendiri ke PGS 3 dan 4. Untuk tim Indonesia FTF dia tuh punya 2 target guys. Satu placement untuk mengamankan tiket ke PGS 3 dan 4. Yang kedua poin untuk masuk ke qualifier PGC melalui jalur APAC Qualifier 2024 ini. Ada 2 kepentingannya. Kalau chess sama day trade dia kepentingan cuma 1. Positioning untuk ngamanin poin PGC. Kalau dia nanti top 3 di poin PGC dari APAC Qualifier ini dia bisa lolos. Pelor terbatas, kita lihat. Dikasih bang, sebat langsung aja. Oleh Monty menyala sepertinya ini di akhir ya kawan-kawan. 2 versus 4 cukup merugikan sebenarnya untuk posisi The Blues bener ya, tim Bliss maksudnya. Bukan The ya. Maaf. Yuki Kamucho, mekanik tua harus tumbang di sini oleh Destroy. 1 versus 4 cukup sulit. UNC mampu mengembangkan percikan di game keempat kali ini dengan 11 kill. Yang mau nonton atau komen-komen bisa ke PUBG Battleground Indonesia guys ya, karena di sini juga lagi live streaming ya, walaupun komentatornya luar. Kalau komentator Bang Rere sih nanti gua nonton ya. Nah, kita coba kepo. Alhamdulillah. Udah muncul belum? Oh, rompat belum ya. Kita lihat pemainnya tadi ya. Jepang ini 4 guys ya. E36 ini guys $2 juta yen anjing. Oh 5 juta yen itu setara 33.000. Oke. E36 itu keras banget guys di Jepang. Asli literally keras parah guys. Tapi di final APAC ini guys dibantai abis tadi sama tim FTF di Erangel. 2 match berturut-turut ya. Bahkan match ketiganya dia cuman bisa hashtag 15 kawan-kawan. Sedangkan tim Bliss ini juga sama. Hashtag 15, hashtag 14. Tapi tadi dia mampu rank 2 dengan kill berapa tadi? 6 kayaknya dah. Lumayan banget tuh. 6 tambah 6 12. Itu berarti bisa naik dikit dia nanti. Entah ke 13 atau 14. PMA X-Men Esport Tim Bliss. Tadi yang Armory Gaming Magnetic ya. Iya Fluky, Escalusia. Ini sering nih. Sering banget nih muncul nih. Di rengket Roy, Simonti, Van ini sih lumayan sering gue lihat ya. Itu FT peringkat 1 mas. Iya. Sementara peringkat 1 guys. Ini match 4 beres, nggak tahu ya. Masih 1 apa enggak? Harusnya sih masih ya. Atau tadi yang chicken siapa ya? UNC ya? UNC. Iya masih FTF kayaknya. Doain aja guys stabil ya. Mas kenapa nggak pernah nobar PUBG? Apa sih? PUBG M mau ketutupan lob anjing. PUBG M nobar kan ada izinnya nggak sih guys? Ada izinnya tahu. Kalau PUBG kita kan udah coy banget ini sama PUBG. Tinggal ngomong, Mas nganu. Gas Mas, nanti dikasih tahu gitu. Beres gitu. Nah kalau PUBG M kita, Mas nganu. Siapa ya? Gitu nanti. Perwakilan ini cuma satu, ya cuma satu.
The future. Be looking at the opportunities you have around you. I think they had pressure from Cerberus a little bit, and so they're probably thinking, okay, we've got to.
Kalau tadi UNC dia ngantongin 11 kill sama rank itu dapat 10-21, harusnya 39. 39 dia rank 2 guys. FTF tadi ngantongin 1 ya, harusnya ke 43 ini. Coba. Oh belum deh. Gila sesuai perhitungan gua banget gini ya. Kacau. IE 16 nih. Bentar. IE 16. Oh jadi 31. Masih aman. Roy. Wah ini tuh 39 ya guys ya, sesuai perhitungan ya. Ini offline apa online? Bang tuh online. Zewai, terima kasih. Tapi kayaknya ini. Oh, Bang Zeus makasih ya. Mohon maaf itu kata-katanya kesensor. Maaf ya. Kesensor otomatis abangku kena filter. Thank you Bang Zeus. Halo Bang Okto, bukan Zeus slot haram katanya. Alhamdulillah Zeus halal ini kayaknya. Nah itu dia guys ya, rangkuman dari match 1 sampai 4. Yang chicken ada Daytrade, Roy, ada FTF dan UNC. Suara serak-serak bahasa gini bang. Ini bang lagi pilek nih kebetulan. Next stage diambil berapa mas? Diambil 4. Kecuali day trade sama chess, karena dia udah punya slot nih. Nih yang warna biru nih 2 itu udah pasti lolos. Nih 2 biji nih. Nah warna hijau itu yang bakal lolos ke nextnya, bakal lolos ke PGS. Apabila chess dan day trade-nya di atas, nanti ranknya tetap menyesuaikan gitu, nggak bakal ganggu yang lain slotnya, karena ini slot. Tapi kalau masalah poin, itu jawabannya di sini, PGC poin. Dimana di sini para peserta mengumpulkan PGC poin untuk lolos ke PGC tentunya, dimana akan ada 3 besar yang akan diambil ke PGC, dan ada 2 PAQ aka PUBG APAC Qualifier dari PS1 dan PS2 yang akan digabungkan nanti untuk menuju ke PGC. Begitu guys. FTF masuk PGC nggak mas? Masih jauh perjalanannya bangku. Masih banyak perjalanannya. Target pertama FTF itu lolos PGS dulu. Kalau misalkan di PAQ ini dia bisa ngamanin poin PAQ 1, maka dia harus berusaha gimana caranya dapat slot di PAQ yang kedua. Nah, kita lihat nih di sini ya. Untuk PAQ kedua ini kita harus menang di Challenger Rumble PCR ya. Dimana PCR ini harus belum ya. Nah intinya nanti ada lagi PCR yang kedua. Kemarin kan PCR yang pertama tuh guys. Perjalanannya masih sangat panjang kawan-kawan. Kalau Thailand sih banyak ya slotnya 7, Vietnam juga banyak 6. Ini tergantung masanya sih. Sedangkan kalau saya sama Oceania cuma 3 guys slotnya. Taiwan lumayan nih 4, Jepang 4. Iya PGS dulu. PGS itu global seriesnya. Nih di PGS itu nanti bisa lolos ke PGC dari PGS point. Tapi ini perjalanannya panjang banget. Harus PGS 3 dulu, PGS 4 dulu, nanti ada eSport World Cup. Ya, itu mungkin semacam turnamen dunianya tim-tim ya. Terus ada PGS 5 sama 6. Baru dah totalnya diambil 8 besar dari sini. Buset, ini masuk nanti lolos ke PGC lagi ujung-ujungnya. Jadi semua tarikan ini akan berlabuh kepada PGC, cuman slotnya itu banyak cara masuknya. Seru lah, seru. Panjang banget nih. Full kayaknya ini tahun ini. Nah, jadi yang kalian lihat sekarang adalah setitik proses dari FTF menuju semua itu, guys. Jalur PAQ atau jalur PGS dua-duanya bisa dilaluin. Yang terpenting adalah lolos dulu PGS dan nanti di PAQ kedua berjuang untuk qualify lagi. Mengerti? Mengerti dong, gas. Belum kelar ya? Kayaknya udah bisa nih di refresh. Ya, masa lebih update yang di sini ketimbang di Wikipedia, Bang? Oh, mungkin lagi buka puasa. Baru setitik gimana mau ke bulat katanya. Itu dia, Bang. EWC di Arab Saudi nanti kalau nggak salah Mas To. Oh, berarti offline ya? Qualifiernya bagaimana itu ya? Masih belum ditentuin deh kayaknya. Bentar. Belum ada ya. Gua kira yang di Arab Saudi itu PGC-nya guys, bukan ya? Kenapa mereka punya slot untuk negara sendiri tuh, sedangkan kita ikut SEA dan ASEAN? Menurut gua karena popularitasnya dan turnamen-turnamen yang ada di Indonesia. Dulu Indonesia punya slotnya sendiri, guys. Dulu ada PCR Indonesia loh. Bentar ya. Jadi sedih. PCR Indo.
Categorically, they are not playing like an Armory Gaming, who you'll see with a couple members doing their own solo things, and it might work, it might not work. Unicorn Cyber aren't willing to risk that. That's the thing that's coming to the forefront of my mind right now. Is Unicorn Cyber is playing, like I said, that game, minimize the RNG, mitigate the risk. They don't want to risk anything they don't necessarily have to risk.
BABANGSAT baru saja memberikan 25.000.
Babang, makasih.
EWCPUBG Mobile Prize Pool $3 juta. Semoga EWC PUBG PC juga sama. EWC Ria.
Kok suaranya telat? Komentator Rere Bredel, guys. Bang Rere. Tuh guys, dulu ada guys PCR Indonesia, guys. Gue ngeliatnya dari TD lagi nih. 2020 kayaknya terakhir dah kayaknya ya. Rank 1 bahkan lolos ke PGS APAC. Dulu Indonesia punya slotnya sendiri, adik-adik. PGS APAC itu setara apa ya? PGS nggak sih ini? Apa setara yang sekarang? PAQ. Intinya mah turnamen ini pisah-pisah dari dulu tuh banyak. No, Indonesia, Filipina, Malaysia, series. Indonesia punya 2 slot, guys. PNJ beda bang. Kalau PNJ itu negara. PNJ Indo itu gantian Rusia, guys. Tuh dulu guys. Tuh Cibirit, Cimoy, Kamal, Genpo, sekarang Aukarin, Nando, TD. Sekarang gabung nih. Cimoy gabung sama Aukarin, TD plus Trik. Trik tuh dulu di mana ya? Sampai lupa gua. Punya turnamennya sendiri loh. PSAC dulu ada PS1, PS2 tuh. Seru guys. Nah ini PNC beda lagi nih guys kalau PNC. Ini undangan waktu itu. Nah gua waktu itu hampir dijebak katanya itu jadi manajer, ternyata coach ya kan untuk Hexagon yang. Game cari ini kah? Betul. They don't get invited to PGC. That's all PGC points. And so that stuff is very valuable for them. Melihat masa-masa itu guys. Ini baru TD doang loh guys. TD. Tapi masih ada sih TD. Kesannya kayak udah pensiun ya. Oh ini trik nih, coba nih trik. Trik dia di PGS 5. Oh dia Seriu dulu. Tim Seriu. PCR tuh. Jaxi. Seriu. Lihat Ari mas. Udah mulai. Nanti dulu guys, mengenang masa lalunya ya. Nonton. Melihat masa kemasan Indonesia yang punya slotnya sendiri itu kayak sedih gitu guys. Sekarang kita harus nebeng di SEA Oceania anjing. Dulu kita tuh ada qualifier sendiri PUBG. PUBG Challenge Rumble Indonesia. Dang, Fahmi makasih udah join membership. Yang artinya mau siapapun perwakilannya Indo ada gitu kan. Maksud gua tuh. Lah kalau sekarang belum tentu ada guys. Kita harus bersaing lagi gitu sama SEA sama Oceania gitu. Lihat Rian mas. Nanti kita cari Rian. Rian itu berarti Aerowolf kan ya? Apa victim ya dulu? Kebanyakan lihat fakta hidup. Prediksi zona mas match ini. Aduh. Bang buka map bang. Ayo map lagi dong. Telat nih saya nih, maaf. Wolf ya dulu ya. Sempat victim gak sih? Enggak ya? Full Wolf ya? Ductus has to sit out the rest of the game. Now you're playing as a 3-man. You just have to kind of go in with that mindset though that El Pozo, UNC, Basanya, Musende, Sapawe, Huda. Zaman Sobat Papua masih menyala terang.
Zaman Sobat Papua masih menyala terang.
Menyala. Sekarang Sobat Papua udah main RP terus. Bang Zain makasih 10 member gift-nya, berkah selalu. Alhamdulillah guys. Ada dukungan dari Bang Zain sini. 10 membership, TE, 777. Di bredel saja, tidak ada yang masuk sepertinya ya. This is even worse for the expendables as well because ini zona kiri, kanan, atas, bawah guys. Coba guys, tebak daripada hap ya kan? Tebak nggak sih? Zona atas, kiri, kanan, bawah nih. Coba. Berbagi Mas To, makasih ya Bang Zen. Lancar terus rezekinya Bang. Kanan, atas, bawah, hap loh. Kanan, kiri, kanan. Kanan, bawah, tengah. Kanan bawah, boleh kiri atas, kanan atas, kiri bawah, kanan bawah boleh guys. Serang-serang juga nih. Cheat hidup. Zonanya akan pindah ke masih lama ya? Ternyata masih lama guys. Ini hitung mundur zona jalan ternyata. Sorry masih lama. Kita reset dulu ya. Nunggu dulu ya. Tenang.
If that's a DC, I'm going to be very sad.
Sorry
We
guys.
saw one really devastating DC in the
Gue
playoffs.
kira
but
tadi hitung mundur
I
ke
hope it
zona
doesn't
2 guys.
continue to happen.
Kecepatan.
By the way, this is a circle you can see is very 50-50. If your circle
Ini
is orange,
zonanya
if
aja
you're stop, camp all these teams
sudah
coming in,
50% air ya kawan-kawan. Hampir 50% air. Kalau di kanan kemana dong itu? Di pulau dong kalau kanan guys. Ferdi, makasih 3 bulannya. Itu parasut pakai emergency namanya ya. Yuki kamu cow harus turun di tangan Bang Leo di sini. Loh, Savior juga ini. Emang banyak nama Savior ya. Pantas kagak asing.
If you're getting 12 points a game, you're going to start to rocket up that leaderboard, but rough start here on Miramar now. Losing count.
Ini pilihannya mungkin kanan atas, atas kiri bawah guys. Kalau kanan itu udah ke pulau sih, sepertinya ya. Tanawat, Thunders, lihat satu orang dari VLTA di sini, 1 hit masuk, belum menjadi ancaman yang cukup sepertinya. 3 menit menuju arah zona yang akan kita tebak kawan-kawan. Tengah circle boleh ya kan? Boleh. Nanti guys kita aktifkan cheat code menuju FTF guys. Itu kemarin sih work ya. 2 match. Habis itu enggak tahu. Zain makasih 10.000-nya. Beh, gila Bang Zain nih guys. Full fitur YouTube dia pakai guys. Gokil. Pelurunya jadi tracker emo bagus juga ya. Loh, bagus loh Bang. Jadi terlihat makin nyata gitu, nggak goib, nggak kayak stuck. Wih, dari mana nih? Spektator bisa melihat ya kan, arah tembakan dari mana, bullet dropnya pun kelihatan, bahkan bullet travelnya pun kelihatan gitu.
2 or 3 kills by the time they had to leave the Unplayable, which is just not ideal. Maybe the Unplayable net them those 3 kills.
Mas Njun harus down terus sementara. Ah, ini dia FTF kita adik-adik. Semoga tuh, aduh bentar, di bawahnya ada siapa itu? Ada RS. Tidak kena, aduh 1 hit lagi.
Risky here again, late parachute from FTF, so it didn't come in as early as Panic and Magnetic. More teams now kind of situated. Looking at the map stream right now, and it's just lines firing.
Tidak, Rido. Terima kasih sekali lagi Bang Zain.
And to the point where obviously Orca, there's not much you can really do. Pivoting around parachute to avoid these shots. Yeah.
Dajjal anjing game-nya.
Unfortunately, it's the case of coming in too late.
Wah, kematian ternyata guys ya, buka parasut di atas ini. Kematian guys. Orang goib banget dah. Waduh, ternyata FTF harus bersandar di zona yang cukup padat area penduduk ya. Iya, bingung karena bahaya guys sejujurnya. Dia tuh berharap pengen jadi ini dulu kan, mantau dulu keadaan, tapi mungkin lebih bagusnya nanti 1 orang aja gitu yang di atas terbang santai. Sisanya nyusul. Sisa juga sih. Serba salah nih. Apalagi masih ramai banget guys, masih 60 orang. Ini juga masih cukup beruntung lah. Cukup beruntung banget 1 yang keculik gitu. Gue ngeri banget tadi 2 orang ternyata keculik guys. Oke, ini dia penentuan zona 3, 2, 1. Zona FTF. Tengah agak kiri atas ya ini ya. Tapi jatuhnya tengah banget sih ini. Karena kan sampingnya air ya. Ya FTF zona. Habis ini berarti kanan atas guys ya.
Yeah, more parachuting here. It's light work.
Tadi
Trying to
KN.
also continue the good work for Panic. 2 kills from them from this unplayable position.
KN di mana dia?
Makes it cop the headshot. Although
Di atas kah?
it might not be safety for Unicorn Cyber.
Anggia timbul, makasih dari join membership.
Standing at the moment, and that is the very low health destroyed. Just got off a med kit. Back to full
Wah,
health.
gila.
Man, Hung is gone. And after a
Tim Bliss udah
significantly
mulai
good
menyala
performance,
bangku ini guys.
end the win.
Udah nggak ada rem-rem lagi sepertinya ini mekanik-mekanik tua nih. Ke ladang sih nanti, gila sih zona ladang sih kematian ya. Waduh, ke instan temennya sendiri adik-adik. Leo. Gua pikir bakal jerok, ternyata enggak ya. Pantesan kurang kedengeran guys, maaf. Sorry. Semoga FTF dapat kill steal nih dari atas nih guys.
Yeah, you almost have to consider that Unicorn Cyber emergency pickup as
Mati
too risky,
jatuh
almost.
kayaknya.
And to send it into Impala, I suppose the emergency parachute isn't necessarily the
Terus
problem. It's where
KN gitu
it
ya?
went. Impala, it's
Sama
too
orang
much of a commitment in a zone like this. I feel like you might be better off coming in on the edge with vehicles that you can then use to put yourself in a better spot phase 3. I don't want to criticize it too heavily because if it works wonderfully, but not on this occasion. I feel like
Skema
Unicorn Cyber
terbaik
was
sih di
probably
sini
expecting such a heavy
placement
presence
tim
towards
sih.
Impala, even though it's
Sama
very central at the
nyolong-nyolong
moment
kill
and it's
doang.
a power position. They tried to go to one of the spots that would have been a lot less contested. They went to that
Sisanya biar
northern
zona
side.
yang berbicara
You
kan.
expect teams to put themselves in the massive motels up towards church, potentially on the edges of the city, rather
Tim
than
Indo
that northern
namanya
side.
From
So
the
probably caught off
Future.
guard a little bit too. But yeah, you're right. It's the give and take of the emergency pickup. It just kind of just doesn't go your way sometimes. You have to be super on point to make it work. And to be fair as well, if you want to send it into Impala, you're exposing yourself to the
Pelor sih
unplayables
banyak
that
ini emang.
surround it. You're exposing
Oh,
yourself
emang
to
dia
all
tuh
the
niat ke
windows
bukit
inside that
guys.
city as you
Ya
fly
nggak sih?
down. It's not like you're
Soalnya pelornya
the
banyak banget,
flash as you fly
jarang-jarang
down
loh
on those
lihat
parachutes. You're
mereka
actually quite
bawa lebih dari
exposed,
200.
so you really got to consider it. And for Unicorn Cyber,
AW,
doesn't net them any good. Down to 2 actually. Probably more devastating to be
Kok simbet
down
Pak
to 2.
gitu
You
tuh
would have
loh.
wanted to survive with at least 3, and then maybe you can make a fighting chance towards
Bang
the
Rap,
end
nggak
game,
kelihatan
but,
kan dari atas kah?
they lose 2 on that, which is just not good at all.
Trik.
Well, speaking
Nggak
of
kelihatan kah dari
emergency
atas bang?
parachute pickups
Oh
and
iya
the
betul.
lateness in using them.
Ketutup guys, ketutup guys.
Here's another one.
Habis ini nggak sih?
Esports.
Display down 8.
It's not about the usage, Russ. It's about
Pak,
the
truk.
That's what I'm saying,
Aduh,
yeah.
nggak ada yang masuk.
I feel like
Satu
Unicorn
hit.
Cyber chose a decent spot to land. Just weren't expecting the fight back that they
Sayang,
got
Pelor salah,
from
sayang
that
banget ini.
spot. But as I said, again,
Cimo
the
yang udah
terrain
jerok ini,
around it
pelornya.
lends heavily in those teams' favors who actually want to take shots at those emergency parachutes. Luckily,
Maya
this
TD
doesn't
di
favor
situ,
Impala as much.
guys.
We've moved a little bit more north, so hopefully RX
Pantesan
can find a
banyak
better spot.
pelornya.
Yep. If they can, phase 3 circle, and it again.
Zonanya beneran ke kanan atas adik-adik ya. Sesuai dengan target pasar ya. Kematian emang guys. Kematian. Lihat guys, emergency parachute emang sebahaya itu nggak sih? Kalau di level ini.
It's very easy to be like, hey guys, let's just parachute in.
Bayangin tadi itu kalau FTF begitu guys, pusing banget itu.
What can go wrong if you do it too late?
Kematian.
Panic did it early. Panic did it very early. That was a very early parachute pickup. They got to the Unplayable. They were one of the first teams to get there. So therefore, there weren't really that many players shooting.
Nggak works untuk dipakai, enggak. Untuk zona sekecil ini sih enggak ya. Soalnya padat penduduk dengan M setan semua.
You do it early enough and it's fine. You do it late though, and you
Kalau di early game mungkin aman lah.
13.5 minute mark and a circle like
Masih pada bisa kan.
no surprise,
Nah, kita lihat nih. IE. Kita lihat nih guys ya. Tim ketiga nih.
So obviously not that many shots. It's only day trade shooting at them. But as they fly over Impala, now the whole server is going to be shooting at them. Where do they want to land though?
Ingetin guys, IE ya. Apakah akan jadi kotak? Nah, ini anu momen namanya. Satu down. UNQ, really UNQ? Really UNQ? Dua. Kematian anjing. Jadi kotak kayak jadi kotak. Asli ini. Memang selamat guys, tapi dua keculik.
Just not what you should be doing. You have to consider, as the captain, as the IGL, and even as the coaching staff as well. You look at a circle.
Memang nggak seindah ranked ya kawan-kawan ya. Di ranked mah aman-aman aja kita. Pakai begituan kecuali salah kompon ya kan. Lah ini kita numpang lewat aja bisa mati gitu loh. Setan semua ini. Pelor pada habis nembakin parachute betul. Tapi ini habis ini zonanya ke FTF lagi nggak sih guys? Ya kan? Dalam 25 detik. Wah. Yuk kanan atas yuk zona yuk. Chill trick chill. Kanan atas. Jerok. Ini kematian, ini bahaya banget ini. Rotasinya gimana?
E36 can they find a way to get on the board? All tucked up into the Morado.
Meledak nih. Reload dulu. Duar!
And they have capitulated out into the fields. XK will die. Kane probably might not get.
And 1 kill.
Although he has been able to get behind.
Lumayan kita lihat. Udah dong, kan satu mati.
That FTF is shooting at. Another rough game though from the future as a duo.
Yeah.
Kelepas. Aduh, pas banget mas.
He's gonna get inside. At least.
Pas banget masuk guys.
Risky though. FTF are hitting shots. To be honest with you.
Giliran kayak gini FTF kena sorot terus guys. Pas lagi menyala abangku jarang banget ini ya. Kenapa ya? Mungkin bagi spektator mereka mentingin yang posisinya unik kali ya. Kayak lagi kesusahan gitu atau lagi tertekan. Mereka sorot tuh. Yang lagi menyala abangku itu kadang miss dia. Tadi gue ngeliat ya di match 1, 2, 3 tuh lumayan tuh. Banyak banget momen kelewat. Ini siapa yang ngomong zona ladang ya tadi ya? Laknat. Kematian aja zonanya.
Probably less teams though at the center point of this circle. I mean right now it's
Satu mobil
Valentine, they're
3
inside
orang
that
nih.
compound and may not
Matian
be well as aggressive out into the fields right now for Magda. So if you got to do it and there's less teams in the vicinity, obviously it's far more safer. Teams can still shoot from quite a distance away and that's exactly what's happening.
Apaan tuh?
What just happened? There is the nuke. Snap. Nuke.
Apaan tuh?
Snapped Magna. Flocky goes down to James.
Apaan tuh?
To the roof though.
Oh dia turun di rooftop guys.
Teaching everyone else how to use it, but
bingung kali ya mau kemana lagi ya?
What the hell is that?
Dude, that's why the first time it was night vision. This time it's Thanos appearing in the sky. Yeah. I respect that.
Gue pikiran FTF kemana ya? Detret harus pulang kawan-kawan. Gila abang-abangan pun pulang guys. Ini mapnya wadaw ini memang.
The spot that Magnetic have ended up in is if they've ended up in it earlier on, phase 1, phase 2,
Flash Reina.
I'm gonna be quite angry because you
Tim Bliss 2 orang harus tunggang. Sisa 1 orang. Di luar zona pula ya kan. Still kill. Oh enggak. Tim Bliss berpulang. UNC tersisa 1 orang di tengah ladang. Ini zonanya laknat. FTF harus down trick. Tersisa Cimoy di ladang. Ini gimana ceritanya ini bang?
Yeah, and that 5 kills is typically like a bad Blitz game. So that's actually probably more to the norm for them. To go out 5 kills, got something. They know they're better than that, but hey, at least they scrap some points together, get that leaderboard ticking over, get them to 17 points down going into the final game of the night. So a little bit better for them, but they certainly wouldn't be happy with going out this early. Good circle though. Again, pop for Valtai, they're in a good position. Obviously onto the roof for Magnetic. 777 is well dead. Blows up.
Sih lumayan ini ya. Dia sisa 2 tapi ada curi-curi nih. Karena apa? Karena tadi lumayan deket zona dia. Nah sekarang gimana FTF ini? Di atasnya ada AG. Di bawah ada E36.
Be able to get 4 to 5 points somehow, some way, and E-Arena has been able to manage that. Panic on the move, 3 kills from that Unplayable outside of power. But now what can you achieve? Coming in quite late. PV knocked by Lyric straight into Arena from 1 Unplayable to another. This time though, Panic on the wrong side, on the low side, and they getting torn to shreds as the frag grenades will start to go into their location. Throwing
Selahannya enak loh dia loh.
Just to keep E-Arena honest.
Dia masih punya bom.
Will get the kill onto Pivy. Suspect has been downed.
On point nih.
Frag from Lyrics from the top of this Unplayable. And that one, Tigger has got to be so careful. Lyrics.
Lah.
The last one up for E-Arena as Tigger's had a stumble.
Did he fall off? No
Malah
way.
jatuh. Aduh Cimoy. Ente guys, hashtag 10 ya, kill 1. 2 match. 1-1 nih. Ini yang di atas pada tumbang duluan guys. Wah ini kayaknya liganya bakalan susah ditebak guys kalau kayak gini ya. Liganya ya. Soalnya ini jadinya tipis semua nih nanti. Yang bawah sampai atas poinnya ngejar-ngejaran nih. Iya segala jatuh itu sih. Tiger. Rata bro. Gila rata bro. 9 kill bro. Wah. Dapat lagi. Harus di commit yang kayak gini. Might just put a stop to the little run. Zonanya sakit banget kalau kebentur ini. 3. Berharap itu mati. Kalau mati dapat confirm kill ini. Dapat confirm kill sepertinya di KD. 10 kill ya. 11 deh, 11-2 tadi dia. Gila guys, IE memang kematian tuh ya. Cuman posisi dia bagus banget buat nge-kill steal. Gimana sih? Nge-steal kill. Nyayur bro. Itu timingnya pas banget lagi. Yang satunya mati.
This could end up being a battle of the century between Armory and Cerberus. 2 incredibly frag-heavy teams with insane individuals going at it. Not going to get that just yet. We've got to wait
zona
for
atas
this
bawah
to
macam
run its
mana
course.
nih?
And this is why I said I get frustrated every time I see this. I'm not saying that there are other options for Magnetic. It's good for survival. It gets you up to those placement points. You've got high ground. You're on the roof. I mean that's good.
E36 sisa
you end up
1 orang lagi deh.
really weird stalemate.
Masih ada ternyata.
Below you. Valley Tie now have to.
Berarti tadi emang rata karena zona aja ya.
They have to deal with Magnetic as they jump off the roof, and it just creates chaos for the team below Magnetic. But incredibly exposed.
Master dek. Sluki mekanik tua nih. Dari kiri bang itu bang.
Lucky knocked by Sololzi.
Lucky.
Prone for now.
King Pie.
Plenty of medical supplies still available for Magnetic. Been here a while. Lucky should be able to get revived. Smoke's available if required, but you really need to save onto them for as long as possible, considering the open terrain at play moving forward. Once you have to get away from this compound.
Kalau chess WWCD nggak apa-apa dah. Sumpah. Day trade chess nggak apa-apa guys. Aman-aman itu. Nggak ngerebut slot soalnya. Baik mereka.
29 points, 6th at the moment. Still very close to that sort of top 4 echelon.
Iyalah chess lah. Chess di hati nih kita guys. Semenjak FTF tusun dari mereka ya.
Find the knock. Plenty of teams around this building of Magnetic. That all just checking the backside though, and no one there makes the drop. Shortest parachute you'll ever see. But inside of the building, of course, is Valatai, and obviously Magnetic are
Mulai
aware of this.
inisiasi
Now they
serangan
have to clear
sepertinya
it out.
guys.
I don't know if they're going to be able to manage. I don't think so. I think the angles are far too harsh for Magnetic to be able to manage this. I feel like they should push around the outside. Lucky down already. Latte with a fantastic angle. Just going around the outside, stop Valley Tie from actually exiting the building that they're locking down, but they've lost a member in Flucky now, a very pivotal member, mind you. And I suppose if they do go around to the northern side, they have to rely on flimsy pieces of cover like the wall to stop the people on the north from actually shooting them. E36 finally down and out. They've got this foldable shield to stop themselves from getting shot at by the north. But if you have to do something like this, obviously you're in dire straits. But I like that they haven't given up anymore by pushing inside. Pushing inside was a death sentence.
AG sepertinya memantau peperangan dengan adanya RS juga third party di sini, bro.
Got a little bit better of an angle. If Shanks moves to his right, maybe Magnetic would be
nomor MCG nggak nanti mas, tergantung votingnya nanti kepilih apa enggak.
It's a weird stalemate. You just end up in this spot where both of you are on the exact same side of the building. It's mutually assured destruction, and it's all off the back.
Ini berarti gua nonton match terakhir sambil voting ya guys ya.
26 minutes elapsed. Oh, at the fence says Quilucia. Gets them just a little off guard. Good little double swing as well. Down to Latte. He's great in these kind of moments. Could only get the one.
Nice, Chess, nice. Let's go, Chess.
Kind of that mutual destruction that you were talking about, Russell. Both teams go out simultaneously. Valatai were able to get into the top 4 and a couple of kills confirmed as well for Latte. Good enough. It's something. Reluctant squad with 7 kills. And now with 6, 7, 8, 9 as the lurking solo at the end of this game for their team.
Selamatkan Aisaki, bang.
Are the main titans left remaining in this particular game. Armory Gaming though, they need to capitalize.
Solusi ngejagain. Dia tahu ya? Masih ada ya?
Yeah. Cerberus GPT.
Nembak tadi ya?
Worry about necessarily winning the game. Yeah, right. As much as Armory do. Armory also
di ujung tanduk banget ya, tapi gimana memang harus ngelawan sih. Belum ngepick tuh bang.
Good opportunity as well. 6, 7, 8, 9 kind of occupied by Armory as well. He can't really move, I suppose.
Dimas teki-teki guys di sini. RS nggak mau nyerahin sama sekali ya. Ini dia guys, kita dukung Cheers, Cerberus, Cerberus. Alif, makasih udah rejoin membership.
Not necessarily putting themselves in the right positions to be able to capitalize on Cerberus once the rest of the teams were gone out of the server. This might actually end up just being a nice quick win from Cerberus Riz. The only one alive. He's fighting.
Ente bang.
But how much more can he do?
Let's go Cerberus, Cerberus. Nggak apa-apa guys, kalau chess guys aman-aman. Tidak mengambil slot PGS 3 dan 4. Apakah FTF bakal jadi kayak kemarin hari pertama Ganas? Ingat guys, kata-kata adalah doa. Positif-positif aja ya. Oke, hashtag Indopretnya guys, jangan lupa ya. Sama bagi-bagi lah. Tim gedenya apa aja guys selain Cerberus? Ada Day Trade, ada PMA, ada UNC, ada apa lagi ya? Oh, TB ini The Bliss, tim Bliss ini salah ya tadi gua ngituinnya. PMA nggak lolos guys, PMA nggak lolos. ada TE, ada TE. 36 bukannya tim gede juga di Jepang ya? Tim Bliss ini juga tim gede tadinya. Fury nggak sih guys? Fury kan? Pecahan Fury maksudnya. EA Arena juga tim gede. Mana tim gede nih? EVOS ada ugak bang. Aduh, ugak ada kalau EVOS guys. Representation. Total pemain-pemainnya guys. Pemain kita cuma 5% guys. Dari total pemain yang berpartisipasi ini. Ya Allah guys. Cuman Indo doang guys yang nggak ada
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams there and a lot of teams that can shoot you from quite a distance away.
Gak ada komentatornya nih. No budget ini guys. Kita support guys Indonesia nih. Semoga rame lagi ya kan. Kalau rame lagi kan nganu guys ke streamernya juga kan. Nganu. Rian Mas, boleh. Yang mau nyari Rian ya. Super Nair.
So there's multiple ways to use it and to use it safely. Unfortunately, this game was a really good example of teams using it. One when they probably didn't need to, and they were just being a bit greedy. But also two, not understanding the terrain and the amount of teams that were already there. On a map like Miramar, you can get to those unplayable as well, of course, now. And you look at what Panic were able to do. A lot of those teams parachuting down. So many teams in Impala, so many teams around that area. It became a death trap. And just, team after team trying to get their way towards the center. Late into the piece.
Gak ada guys, gak ada.
Yeah, I feel like that's the other thing, right?
Hexagon adanya nih.
You can see teams often use the emergency pickup perfectly timed for that phase 2 pop, maybe even that phase 3 pop. But that seemed like it didn't matter in a zone like this. Also, yes, to your point, everyone was already set up by the time.
Legion of Champion, gila, dulu Lenovo support abis guys. Parah bro, ini juga Predator yang ada nih.
Excuse me, to be honest with you, emergency pickups often fail. I feel like they often far less.
Rumah makan Padang loh.
They're actually pictured to be. The
Rumah makan
big surprise for
Padang.
me was how easily Armory fell. I genuinely don't understand how you can be in that position from so early on. And then when it finally comes time for the circle to favor you, when it finally comes
ini yang merah-merah udah nggak ada nih patch-nya guys.
To give you all that you want, and then
termasuk Rian ya.
How do you not
NT bang.
You've had all this time.
Dia itu cuma 2 tahun doang, dari 2008, 2018, 2019. Sebenarnya konsisten itu TD guys ya. Gua akuin nih. TD ini bagus nih dia. Konsisten.
Say positioning yourself in a poor spot, then it's very easy to let
karen tuh RDK bos ya.
That's what's concerning for me. The fact that for Armory Gaming they finished second, they only got 1 kill.
Rido juga bagus.
You've had a match where you clearly played on the outskirts.
Cimoy
got a bit of a lucky circle shift.
sama juga.
Like, oh great, cool, we got the circle now. But by
Trik Maan,
like they were never really in a good enough position to be
memang abang-abangan sih guys ini. Yang agak baru sih kayaknya Trik ya di antara mereka semua nih. Agak baru nih. Baru kelihatan maksudnya dari 2020 baru kelihatan. Maan udah dari lama nih. Gila Bang RR kini dek.
Sometimes when you're not playing at your best, you still just need to be able to collect those 7 points, or 5 to 7 points. And that's where you can kind of look at
Bang Maani.
They got those 5 kills. They were really early, no placement points, but they still scraped it together.
Bajunya masih victim aja.
Suggest that they had an okay game. 5 points, it's something. Gets the leaderboard ticking over. Reset. Now you go into the last game.
Nah, 365 itu. Oh beda ya sama Eagle 365 ya? Victim FTF pun pernah dia. Vandal Maan. Eagle 365 nih.
And there's no singular team that is just, mowing down this lobby, which you would never really expect
Jack
at
sih
this
guys.
level.
Jack juga abang-abangan loh. Cibirit, Vandal, coba lihat ya. Jack abang-abangan guys, gini-gini juga nih. Beuh. PGS 4 bro, top 5 dia.
Say with 80 points already, and I'm glad it hasn't played out like that.
PGS apa nih? PUBG Lite Squad Tournament lu, PUBG Lite ya. PGS Popis nih zaman dulu ya. Ada dia. Cibirit juga, ini abang-abangan banget nih kalau Cibirit guys. Banyak banget dia prestasinya. Sayang dia. Mekanik tua. Terus ini ada siapa lagi nih? Ada Bang Fandra. Ini kekuatan gebrak meja nih. Abang-abangan. Itu yang Laser yang pindah ke Valo itu kan? Iya, betul. Takel. Indonesia ada ini. Satu doang ya. Iya, Firmansyah. Thank you Bang Firmansyah. Event ini ya. Sementara FTF masih top 1 guys, gila. Cuman poinnya jadi mepet-mepet semua nih. Tuh. Makin mepet-mepet semua guys. Makin deg-degan tapi makin seru juga. Habis ini main apa toh? Habis ini kita akan ada voting nih ya. GMG kan 945 nggak sih mulainya? Ketutupan nih muka gua. Taruh mana ya? Ini atas map ya? Nantilah kalau ini. Oh, di muka gua aja dulu ya. Iya. Jadiin Corsair aja bang. Yaudah sini dulu deh sementara ya. Nanti ingetin pindah guys. Firmansyah makasih.
100.000 koin. Pesan nebeng musik bang.
Itu musik lu emang bang? Kalau musik lu sih respect ya, keren. Thank you Bang Firmansyah, berkah selalu. Habis ini FTF Chicken kill 9. Wis. Catat guys ya, amin amin. Ya demi stabilitas ekonomi guys ini. Ada voting tidak terduga ternyata, betul. Tadinya gue mau misahin sendiri votingnya gitu. Ternyata jamnya mepet. Jadi sekalian aja lah. Gue cuma 945 doang. Tapi lama ya ini. Harusnya udah mulai gak sih jam 9? Gue ngerasa kalau ini ngedelay deh. Kemarin lebih cepet kan ya? Udah keisi aja tuh. Udah tadi gue udah bilang. Ini yang mau voting udah bisa sebenarnya, cuman gak gue munculin gitu. They have to play poorly to miss out. If they play great and the position they already find themselves in 5 games in, I think FTF can definitely find themselves in that position. But FTF semoga stabil aja sih poinnya, amin amin. Ini udah mulai mepet nih guys. Hashtag 1 sampai berapa tadi ya? Hashtag 1 sampai 7 lah. Sampai 6 lah ya. Ini mepet banget nih. Tapi 30-an juga mepet sih sebenarnya. Ya kalau dibilang mepet sih dari 15 mepet banget nih guys. Jarak-jarak 20 poin itu menurut gue mepet sih. Soalnya bisa kesalip dalam satu WWCD gitu. Kalau killnya aktif, dia chicken gitu kan. And they are the worst when it comes to placement points, and that goes with the storylining that we've been putting for Arena, which is great, and then towards the end of the game it stumbled. Yeah, I don't know why it's so weird that kenapa jadi pada bahas ekonomi Indonesia nih? Pada ngomong apa? Tapi ngomong-ngomong di sini belum kelihatan duitnya guys. Apa belum dirapatin ya? Duitnya berapa gitu hashtag 1. Soalnya press poolnya
or you know, this situation, that situation,
$80.000
that game we saw up was too.
$80.000
And the duo did absolutely incredible work, but yeah, I mean, on top of that, what more actually going to do? I feel like even if they were up there as 4, they would still fall short, and so maybe it comes down to the spots they put themselves in the end game. Maybe there's a better spot they could have chosen.
Sekali chicken pasti kill 10 biasanya tim Thailand atau Vietnam, itu dia. Makanya beda 20 poin tuh menurut gua masih tipis. Gue penasaran sih ini kalau nanti ada gitu ya dolar-dolarnya gitu. Siapa tahu kan lebih memotivasi orang-orang. Kalau 80 sih harusnya press pull hampir setengah nggak sih guys?
So for E36 and FTF, obviously that beef is only happening on Wrangle, and I don't think we're going to see any hot drops for the rest of the tournament. I feel like just the way that this initial day has panned out in terms of that specific thing, I feel like we're only going to see that E36 FTF hot
Dan
drop at least until we get to the final couple games. Then maybe,
nah kita contoh ini nih 80 juta top satunya 40 juta kan? Tapi cuman 1 sampai 4.
Because of the result that we saw today, as we get a very northwestern circle for our final game of the night. Again, a reminder, 4 nights overall when it comes to these APAC qualifiers for PGS 3 and 4. So, still 3 more nights after this. Still
USD. Ini
18
belum.
games after this. Nothing is locked in, nothing is
Udah mulai guys, udah mulai guys.
as we've seen time and time again with these
Mari kita
tournaments, if you start well,
pindahkan
you can
ke
typically finish well, and at least put yourself in a position to finish well. That's the main thing. Obviously, there's teams that have not quite started as well that we probably anticipated to do better. The Expendables being one of them, Team Bliss being the other. I think Day Trade as well being, well, very disappointing. After winning the opening game, Russell, they have not picked up a single point since.
Halah.
So that means on Vikendi, Tago, and Miramar, that previous game, match 5, they've gotten 0 across all those matches. 16th, 15th, and 13th, no kills.
Yeah, that's a collapse of something very fundamental or macro. That doesn't scream to me individual. Usually, if it's individual mistakes being made, you've got a couple other players on the team that can make up for those mistakes and actually get your team in with a fighting chance. But if those are the kind of results that they're scoring game after game, it's going horribly wrong with the way that they want to play this lobby. It's probably a very harsh introduction to the lobby. Very different lobby, obviously, to what we saw during the playoffs.
Neko Yamayuki,
teams with 8 completely new teams. That's going.
Makasih Bang Firman 10 member gift-nya. Baru nggak gue Bang, sorry Bang. Lagi ribet tadi.
You can put your finger on what's going wrong with them. They're taking early fights. If they lose them, then they're losing the main advantage. And that's obviously what's going wrong with Armory when they do have their pitfalls. With Day Trade, it seems like there could be a million different things going wrong, but all those things are going wrong much earlier on.
Tinggal green screen aja.
Than the late game. So if they can fix up those mistakes, iron out what's going on in the early game, put themselves in that late game position. Well, we saw what happened game 1. They won it.
Bang Zen 5K. Terima kasih 5 member gift-nya. 5 kasih kan. Terima kasih 5 member gift-nya ya Bang ya.
Obviously, it is early days, and again, the gap is really not all that much either. And we've already seen quite a few teams tonight be able to pick up, say, 20 points within a singular game.
Sih,
and I
ini
think every team,
celah
pretty close to almost every team in this lobby is very capable of something like that. A little bit of a dust storm here for Simon T and Roy Esports. Another team that really started tonight was Roy Esports. They won, obviously, the second game of the night. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Penuh banget ya.
Team that actually picked up 20 points in one
Mantap, kalau ganggu kita matiin guys.
Perfect example right in front of us. But outside of that one game, only 10 points.
Ada guys, ada celah ternyata.
And that's the concern. Not just for them, but there's also
quite
a few other teams, I think, as well.
Anjing emang abang-abangan guys.
One really good pop-off game and then similar little
Ini
bit
sih
in the
bisa
others.
jadi bencana buat UNC ya.
I've actually really enjoyed what we've seen from E-Arena. Because E-Arena haven't really had that like super mega pop-off game. Their best game was actually the most previous game. 11 kills, plays. That was the most amount of, well actually, sorry, the game before that they even picked up 13 kills. But they have never gone and gotten a win with say 15 kills or anything like that. Other teams have. And so therefore they've been a little bit more consistent in the kill department. They just need to be able to piece it all together. But right now showing really good form and a reason why they were able to win the tie series.
Simon
Penobet
T,
kayak
here's the
live
footsteps
sponsor
of
di on.
Hudat. Hudat has absolutely no
Hal
idea.
kalah.
That hits the shots. That's insane.
Sebuah
That should
plot
never,
twist
ever,
adik-adik.
ever happen. Simon T had him dead to rights, and Hudat was given
Sudah
a chance to fight.
mengendap-ngendap,
Simon T went for the
terflick
initial
drop ya.
shots.
Dan
I
kau
am kind of lost for words, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
It happens from time to time. You
merelakan
play so many games of PUBG, and every now and then you're going to probably lose a one like that. One that he'd love to have
Kalah,
back,
guys.
and not the best way to end your night. Horrible feeling. 5.5 minutes into the final game, and a kill you
Malah
probably
dia
should
yang
have
kaget loh,
gotten
guys.
doesn't quite go your way.
Ah, ini dia.
Parachute pickup
Di
for
early game harusnya
Expendables,
aman.
but goes back to that conversation in the last game. If you're going to do it, this is the best way to do it. Nice and early.
Karena belum padat
Use it as
penduduk,
a
guys.
rotational
Lah
tool
kalau di
rather than
mid game
trying to
buset.
sneak by
Berserak
teams,
itu.
and you're going to notice they're not going to really get shot at here. They're actually going to get this compound. Very good compound.
Kucing
as well.
mabok
Looking
makasih
down the
14
hill
bulannya.
into Octoramonth.
Sih.
And if the circle does
Udah
eventually
platinum nih.
finish in this location,
FTF
it
minimal
becomes
10
a
kill
good
round ini,
location.
amin.
I don't know
Amin,
what they're
amin,
doing
amin,
there, because Darwin has gone to that compound. The
Enggak
rest of
juga
them have
guys.
actually gone into
Udah ada
that
orang ini
compound.
ya,
I-
walaupun
Yeah, I'm a little
cuma satu
surprised.
tim, tapi tetap aja aimnya
You know
tajam.
what? I'm trying to like
Tapi
piece this
seenggaknya
together
selamat
in my
ini.
head, figure out what kind of strategy they're going for here. Because obviously Delwyn stayed up
Nggak
at that
mati
high
di
ground
udara ya.
compound. And so he's acting as an anchor, he's acting as the guy that's going to pass off all the
Air Ferdiansyah
information, but
8
at
bulan,
the
terima
same
kasih.
time,
Firmansyah terima kasih 20 member gift-nya.
committing to the call this early is not as good as sitting up on that high hill or any
Hap,
high ground. So,
hap.
yeah, it's got to
20 member gift.
extra reason why they want to
Wah,
get to
hekal
go for
guys,
this.
dapat
They know
gratisan
that
dia
this is
guys.
a hard shift to the north, so
Gimana
your
ya?
team would have come up here to loot, so the hard spawn's probably still there. They can drive that up. Tanvu's actually got it already, so that could be the play. And if that is the play, then obviously
Ketutupan
that's,
dikit nggak apa-apa lah ya
much
itu ya,
more disciplined,
mapnya ya.
much more smarter play for TE
Aman
than
ya.
just fully committing to that compound and being out of vehicles, out of resources by the time they actually need them.
Yeah, you can see on the map here, they've actually just found themselves 2 vehicles. I imagine a tiny little bit more loot as well inside of that warehouse, which would be stacked. And
Gue penasaran something
actually,
sih
that's a
sebenarnya.
really
Nice.
400 IQ play from the
Kabarnya.
Expendables, because I think the majority of teams, and it looks like I think they just split, they got themselves a 3rd vehicle. The majority of teams, even at this level, would probably just go for the heads-up play, scout that compound, pop hill, good position. Later on in the game can very much become a prior, and just go for it, because you just almost like fixate and focus on it. But they had the peace of mind to send Darwin there first and then go and get vehicles, so that they've got and the reason why you need those vehicles again is if this does kind of shift into any kind of open terrain, you need to build card forts. There's a couple of balls down that hill as well that you can kind of use those vehicles for extra cover later on in the game. If you don't have those vehicles, getting out of that compound on top of the hill is going to be even more annoying. So really smart play. I'm very curious to see how TE play the rest of this game now off the back of that start.
I love it because as well, Delwyn being that high up, when those players do finally get those vehicles, Delwyn can tell them exactly what's free. And that's exactly what happens. Tanva's driven into one of the priority free compounds. So yeah, it's really, really, really heads up. And it shows that the Expendables aren't seeing a free compound and you know, there's 1 or 2
Gimana,
players on
guys?
the team that are kind of in panic
Uy.
saying it's free, let's go grab
Apa
it.
nih?
And then everyone just kind of commits to it.
Firmansyah 20 member gift lagi. Anissa Rizky makasih udah rejoin membershipnya.
Able to take a lot more space than
Ini
they
kelihatan
would have
nggak sih,
had
Mas?
if they'd all committed to
Nggak ya?
that high ground compound. So
Kelihatan nggak sih?
I like that for TE. It shows that yeah, while they're on 25
Votingnya,
points, they're not pressured at all. They are still playing a very good standard game of PUBG. It's just what more can they do from here? It seems like end games, mid games are more of a worry for TE rather than these early games. And yeah, I think that's just a really nice play that we actually got to
Aman,
see
kelihatan
kind
ya.
of played out, and all the audience got to look at it too. So I'm happy that we got to spectate that.
Yeah, and should mention there's really not much else happening right now for this phase 1 circle coming to its conclusion. Another 50 seconds for the blue. Everyone's pretty set in their ways. The arena pushing over towards the creative fields close by. 2 destroyers, a solo there at the moment for UNC. That's the main threat that I can see on the map stream, and we go to it now. He's by himself here. There are potential help maybe from the other side of the crater, but it's so far away that Manhung and Sapao aren't really going to be the best of positions to do much. I think
Makasih ya Bang
Destroyer's really just
Firmansyah
gonna
ya.
get out of here.
Berkah
He's
selalu
right in front of
abangku.
him, so he can leave whenever. He's just buying his time.
Warnanya aja
really.
ubah tuh.
If
Yeah.
you can stay here and be greedy, then he'll go for it.
Greedy.
Warna font jadi putih aja tuh.
And the thing is, the longer you take there, and what a shot
Oh,
from Manhung.
you questioned the cover? You questioned the cover from Manhung?
I didn't question the cover, I questioned the distance
Kalau jadi
of set
putih
cover.
sih
That's true.
And apparently
susah
the
sih,
distance is largely irrelevant.
Susah kalau
The
jadi putih
Dragonov
guys.
as well.
Oh, parachute by the way from Reluctant Squad right over that compound of TE.
Masih kelihatan lah itu ada highlightnya guys.
Anticipating maybe
Ya kan?
an eastern shift. They double back though.
Ya nggak sih?
Plus compound available. They're aware of that. Jacob knocked. Was by man hung. I'll get the revive. He's fine. He'll get back up. Tigger on the move. 10.5 minutes in, now into phase 2, and it has gone over towards Crater. So Crater finish, not a Larkov finish. Well, I mean, I say that it could still technically finish Larkov. But far more of a focus on Crater right now than the POI.
Yeah. I mean, Crater kind of acts, at least the industrial part of Crater kind of acts as a city, right? Where if you send it in, you've kind of committed to it. You can't really leave it. Very difficult to leave the Crater fields, less so. You can park your cars up in the warehouses and find a safe exit if the zone does shift away from you. So it kind of does act as a city ending, at least in one way. But obviously it is entirely different in the fact that you have this
Maaf guys, jadi ngulik kita, sorry. Rexian 2 bulan, terima kasih. Zona pasti ke FTF sampai akhir, amin.
From the Expendables, but they've been solid so far. I hope to see their excellent play early on actually reward them with something.
Match terakhir di hari pertama, ngomong-ngomong besok gua ada bukber guys, jadi bukbernya ini di Tangerang. Nah, jadi kemungkinan besar kalaupun bisa live malam banget, kalau enggak libur dulu berarti kita guys ya.
Yeah, it's been a rough night for Panic ever since.
Paling kalaupun live nonton dong gua. Nonton di game sih paling ya.
It's been an over reliance once again on a singular map, and it's kind of been their downfall. And it's not as if they also ultra capitalized on those 2 games of Erangel. They were good, really not super amazing that apparently they needed to be if they were going to only show up on Erangel. And hence why they've now dropped down.
Aman, yang penting ada vlog. Kenapa jadi vlog bangsat? Firman sama kasih 17 bulannya, like dulu nggak sih biar turun 20 member gift lagi, beh. Berapa like bang biar ada 20 member gift itu? Kasih target bang. Buset. Kasih tahu bang targetnya bang. Tuh guys, catat guys ya, catat ya. Sejujurnya. Dari Bang Firman selalu ini. Kita bisa. Masa nggak dikompein lagi guys? Kacau banget ini. Game sih bukannya hari ini ya? Iya sih, besok ada game sih nggak sih? Udah ya? Dia kan aneh tuh. Pembagiannya apa lompat minggu depannya lagi? Ya pokoknya besok kalaupun live malam intinya gitu. Hari ini kita nobar. Penentuan ya kalau nggak salah hari ini tuh. Kalau kepilih voting.
But yeah, great shooting from long high with the Dragonov.
Saw him line that up too. He was entirely confident that he was going to land that. I feel like this is the calm before the storm.
Besok semifinal tuh hari ini terakhir playoff. Semifinal itu berarti 10 top 10 ya.
You can imagine on this next circle pop happening in just 5 seconds that Lokob is likely to be out. We'll have a focus on Crater Fields.
Berarti semifinal satu hari nanti loncat ke offline ya, sambil ngetes venue, gitu nggak sih?
Reluctant squad even on top of the hill next to the Crater is completely out, so they've got to find their way in. It is a disaster for basically everyone on the north. Unicorn Cyber in a fantastic spot. The 2 players on top of that Unplayable are going to have a field day with everyone rotating in. Day trade finally an opportunity for them, a decent circle that they can actually capitalize on.
Zonanya lumayan, cuman kalau ini pegunungan nantinya agak wadaw sini. Assist kill, assist kill, still kill ya. 1 kill lumayan guys dari FTF, lumayan banget ini.
I mean, they kind of scraped together a couple of points in the last game as well, despite probably not playing at their best. Can they do so again here? Maybe then look to reset for tomorrow night, where they are still very much in a good position to challenge that top 4. Elzeal doing a bit of a spin out into the open, but eventually goes down. 6, 7, 8, 9, and combining for Reluctant Squad.
Wah, Bang Rap di sini tampak seperti kesulitan ya. Struggle deh ini. Trick, nice sekali. Steal kill kedua guys dari FTF. X-Men, panik tipis. 1 versus 2. Susah. Whoops, such a loud.
Again, E-Arena have been good, but
Ulti raja guys, ulti raja nih.
Despite being in second.
600 gas kata Bang Firmansyah guys. Like-nya 600-in gak sih? Hey. Untuk 20 member gift nih. Yo support Abu guys, support Abu guys. Dikit lagi nih, dikit lagi guys. 600 like. Kurang 70 kurang lainnya, 70 kurang guys. Support Abu, support Abu.
The good news for them, though, by getting those vehicles, they have been able to, at the very least, rotate away.
Yo, di like dulu guys. Biar ada give. Remember.
A lifeline as well. If Lyrics, I feel like there's a little bit of pressure from X-Men, but Lyrics is kind of disregarding that right now, going for the kills instead. Probably the smart play, to be honest with you. Just min-maxing what he could do. He's got the spot to take the expendables out, so he may as well try it. But as soon as he runs out of ammo now, it's going to be a quick 180 and then focus on X-Men.
Jadi tim
His teammates are
pertama
going to be dealing with. That's the thing for
yang ter-wipe out.
Do they care about the X-Men or not? I don't really know, but Lyric seems to not.
Ya, nyangkut ya. Laser adik-adik. Buh. M gua banget gak sih itu guys? Sakit banget ya.
Sometimes costs you your life, not maybe expecting Lyrics to be here, hoping that he wouldn't be here at least. We move to Belmoth now. Magnetic rotating through the field. This is Daytrade's opportunity to have a good game. They have to control Magnetic though.
Laser guys. Ya.
Just shifting back a little bit to Crater. Surprised by that one. Thought it was going to continue maybe towards the south.
Zonanya masih dapat, tapi sepertinya benar pegunungan. FTF hari ini udah chicken, alhamdulillah udah chicken di match ke-9 tadi.
Hasn't taken his shots, bit of trigger discipline, maybe just waiting to see if he can get a better one. Duckjuice though just runs away. Good tag at least onto Tambu, but Tambu landing better shots back, and Nuran's forced to fall back and heal up. Daytrade playing it slow and steady, but in the bottom 4 at the moment and in a bad spot, in a bad way.
Masih di luar El Pozo nih, berhadapan dengan Nganu.
Arena gone. X-Men with a nice double, and probably the first blemish of the night. What a headshot from Duckjuice. UNQ also then dying on the fallout. 2 kills now for TE. But yeah, E-Arena's probably first blemish of the night. Russell comes on the final game.
Hop. 600 kah? 20 member gift lagi dari Firmansyah, respect ya. Respect banget Bang Firmansyah, rezekinya dilancarkan selalu abangku. Ini dia guys, beasiswa datang di timing tak terduga.
Unfortunately enough for them, but this does put Daytrade in a bit of a pickle. They've got to come out of the city, take the fight with the expendables, and then move into the zone. I don't know how much of that they're going to be able to get done. It doesn't scream super doable to me.
Aduh.
Orkra knocks himself off the bike.
Karin.
Either way, it's devastating.
Kamu kenapa?
The nades, they have to be on point. He's alone though. Flashes off in the background to support him. Really, we're just waiting for the backup from Pooches and the teammate that's in the car. With that backup, then maybe they can do something here onto the expendables. But right now, it's all onto Belmoth and Flash's backup.
Belmoth di sini abang-abangan versus the Expendables.
They're all basically half health at the moment. No one falls to that frag though. Smoke thrown out.
Mana dicicil?
Puchos falls. Sorry, Puchos gets the kill on Devo, who falls.
Cimoy! Nice!
Doing a significantly good job of winning this fight.
Still kill lagi guys. Dari anak-anak FTF nih.
The circle and the game had other ideas, and Daytrade will capitalize.
TE harus pulang, sedangkan Chess harus melewati Magnetic. Aduh, posisinya jelek sih sebenarnya Fluke ini. Itu dia guys, itu dia. Fluke harus pulang. Thunders harus dijrok dari belakang. Terkena third party. Sepertinya harus pulang Magnetic Gaming. Cimoy dapatkan 1 M goib ini.
So many high ground terrain positions that are very much occupied right now towards the end of this game. Phase 5 deep into the last game of the night.
Nggak ke N ya si Agi ya.
They've got themselves in a position
main
where they
guys.
can play sweep on the edge.
TD harus terknop out di sini. Semoga nggak ke instan ya.
Was caught out of position. They had armory in their back. They had Daytrade in the front.
Harusnya ditembakin dari belakang nggak sih si Jami ini? Nah, itu maksud gue ya. Itu guys, maksudnya. Aman sih harusnya ini, aman. Di evac tadi guys, di evac. Nah yang gak aman nih AG harusnya, karena dia terjepit nih guys. Sudah tidak jadi abu lagi, alhamdulillah bang ya. PNC harus puas di posisi ke-9. Terratakan siapa tadi ya? FTF masih meraba-raba pegunungan di sini. Lido cukup berbahaya, cukup open ya. Zonanya ini pegunungan abis ini. Sedangkan tim Bliss harus terpojok di bawah kaki pegunungan. Dan 36 menjadi penjaga atau kuncen dari tim Bliss. Detroit masih punya kompon di sini serta mobil-mobil yang masih siap dan bagus untuk rotasi nih. Sepertinya dia mau ngamanin posisi mobil biar nggak ketek ban-bannya nih. Wah ini disuruhnya kematian sih. Tim Bliss, apakah tidak ketahuan dua orang itu yang di kanan? Oh ternotis sepertinya. Waduh. UNC mampu memanfaatkan angle lain dari perselisihan antara tim Bliss dan juga 36. Trik mampu memulangkan Ken di situ. Terbokong kah ini FTF sama E36 itu ketemu terus guys. Asal kalian tahu ya. Halah. Alhamdulillah. Sap. Semoga di steal kill guys. Semoga di steal kill ya. Aduh enggak guys. Semoga dia itu yang tim Blissnya. Jauh ya itu ya. Keburu reset ya. 1 versus 3. Yang ini sih menang ya. Wah enggak juga dia lari guys ternyata. Nadia makasih dari join membership. Alhamdulillah. Oke. Aduh, FTF. Semoga bomnya sabun please. Nembak. Oh itu kena Roy. Bomnya kena Roy. Wah ini nyusahin banget sih asli guys. Nggak bohong gua mah. Hudat lu bodat. Maksud hudat ya. Ini takutnya duri dalam jerami nih. Jarum dalam jerami. Duri dalam selimut. Kelihatan kah? Oh enggak kelihatan. Ini aslinya tebel ya guys ya. Aslinya smoke-nya tebel. Oh ini dia nih. Lewat jalur lain trik. Lempar util. Yang di atas ini ganggu banget. Coba dihalangin sama TD. Antisipasi cukup baik di sini. Trik backup dari belakang. Cimoy. Baik sekali dari Cimoy. Memulangkan Roy di sini. Top 5 sepertinya. UNC ini guys ya bermasalah nih di atas biji. Ganggu betul. Sekarang E36 tidak bisa banyak berkutik sepertinya nih. Di depan UNC. Abang-abangan buta tapi abang-abangannya. Sini kali, sini. Oh sana, kelihatan tadi bayangannya. Nih udah nih, tolonglah fokusnya jangan ke FTF lah. Udah RS aja bang itu, pulangin RS. Bener dah. Kali 8 gitu. Kenapa ditaruh? Oh, kejauhan kali, kedeketan kali ya. Pakainya kali 6 gitu. Ngapain ditaruh ya? Kalau di sana kan nggak ada lutan lain.
Way to finish the night for FTF and UNC. Top 2 at the moment and will remain in the top 2.
RS ini guys. Oh, udah ketahuan kah sama Cimoy?
Really. And also a bit of a salvation final game for E36.
Apa emang care aja gitu ya anak-anak?
Very tumultuous.
Kayaknya masih ada di belakang gitu.
Well, start to the night. Their final games have been much better. And probably just offering a little bit of hope that they can be competitive for the remainder of this tournament.
Oh, dia manjat juga. TD manjat, guys.
Disappointing though, of course, for the Aussie teams. Both of them in the bottom four. Not where they would have liked.
Bang.
Oh, little pan. Trick with the frag grenade, and always throwing these up hills can be so difficult. Little vision, not quite sure how close they really are.
Mereka belum tahu spotnya kayaknya deh.
They had left for destroy to try and finish off E36. Does a tiny bit of damage. Luzon thrown out as well. Not a lot of ammunition on that orb. You get these 2 kills, and you can probably get some ammunition off their bodies. Maybe expecting them to be a bit higher. Could be trying to push him behind him, but no, they are very much going to be coming in from the below side.
FTF 1 chicken, guys.
Says this should be a free double kill for Destroy.
Aduh.
Then UNC are going to be in a great spot. Who that though, fighting a bit more of a frontline fight against FTF, does get that kill onto Happy. That's going to make life a little bit easier for UNC. FTF no longer at full strength.
Batu banget ya UNC, guys ya.
One of those moments though, Hudak gets caught up with FTF, then Destroy starts taking that 2v1 versus E36. It could go sideways. I still think Unicorn Cyber will remain in a much better position than anyone else in this lobby, but that's one of the ways this could go
kecuali Chess sama
wrong for Unicorn Cyber. It's just Hudak taking this fight solo against FTF, and then it's Destroy taking the fight alone against E36. Not anymore though, he's got backup in the 4, but he's got it down without a trade. If this falls apart for UNC, it's all on these individuals taking fights without.
Gila, beton banget loh dia. Pantes kalah loh tadi, guys. Kan ada tuh yang nungguin dia tuh, satu. Sakit banget loh dia loh.
Categorically, sorry, the best spot in the game. Destroy's lost his life. Unicorn Cyber have given this up a little bit too much. Belmont's gotten dangerously close as well. Unicorn Cyber, now they're not moving around so much. Now they're not confident in their little micro movements. The high ground that they have, the unplayables that they have, no longer are they the solid advantage they used to have, because Manhug's just sitting there silent. Like he's had to go fully silent.
Jatuh. Mampus lu sekarat, jatuh lu.
He lost his life. That is an absolute blunder. This is Unicorn Cyber completely crumbling.
Tercicil ya. Si Hudat ini gila guys aimnya.
As soon as he loses that, you still also
Trok. Nice trick. Persis kayak yang gua ajarin itu trik. Persis.
But now with this more high ground position, FTF
nice! Keren banget trik. Wih gila, sesuai ajaran gue banget tuh guys. Kacau. Hudat berhasil di repep, tapi ada day trade persis di bawah nih. Bentar, ada RS nih. Trok! Sabar trik, Awkarin melihatnya. Santai, tenang. Cimoy berhasil mendapatkan Belmont di sini. Ini RS ini guys. Bahaya loh ini.
You would think should be able to find their second win of the night. After a couple of poor games, Russell, they have responded.
We go phase 9 though. Phase 9 is off the unplayables. They might have to jump off straight into day trades line of sight.
Flash harus terkena oleh Cimoy. 15G gila, nggak 5G doang dia guys, sudah 15 ini generasi. Sedangkan di sini terlihat nickname cheater ya. Enin, nice banget Bang Cimoy. Trok, nice banget Bang. Nggak bisa Bang kalau itu Bang. Cocok. 10 kill guys. 10 kill, tapi harus hati-hati takut jatuh nih ya. Cimoy lu jatuh sih teki-teki nih. Tolong. Tenang dulu. Kelihatan. Trok. Cari angle dia, Anjing Rido sih bener-bener lu ya. Tenang Rido, tenang.
Basically provide all the information necessary for him, tell him what's free, where he could be, what Crevice 6789 could be hiding in. If Orcon wants to take this 1v1, it's risky, but could be the winning play.
Day trade. nggak di revive sepertinya karena risiko banget ya. Kalau Belmont di revive apa ini dapat killin ya. FTF dapat kill 11, 12 jadinya sama ini. Mantap. Sesuai aplikasi guys, sesuai aplikasi ya, 12 kill. Sisa 2 UNC, 1 day trade guys. Gila bro. Semoga zonanya nih nariknya ke bukit ya. Kalau ke lapangan luas nih susah nih. Util pada udah miskin-miskin nih guys. Rido. Oh, ngambil batu dia, ngambil batu. Angle batu, boleh. Sambil ngambil ini nggak sih? Util tersisa, buset 8 first aid dia guys. Ya Allah, itu sebelah-sebelahan tetanggaan lu. Ini orang-orang lagi takut FTF guys, soalnya dari atas. Wah, ketahuan aja. Detres harus berpulang. Puas dengan posisi 3 di sini UNC dengan 8 killnya tersisa. Hudat ini goib ya guys, M-nya keras banget. Gua akuin keras banget parah. Tadi dia dikagetin sama orang, di flick menang dia. Manhung harus down oleh Trik. Kita lihat apakah
It is all FTF, the high ground that was once Unicorn Cyber's
14 kill. Total 24 poin didapatkan oleh tim FTF di match ke-6. Match terakhir hari ini kawan-kawanku. GG guys. GG. Cing, gila bro. Berarti FTF.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. Did I overhype them? Probably. Did I start to doubt them a little bit?
24 tambah 44 guys ya, 68 poin.
Yes, indeed they did. I mean, they're being a bit hard to read. They look amazing, then they have 2 shockers, and then they look amazing. Actually, it was 3 shockers. Well, no, sorry, 2. And then they look amazing again. I think really more than anything, what's been shown from the future
menyala.
The takeaway is that their best is
sesuai guys ini ya.
Bangga
sekali nih bang. Tadi juga chicken juga guys, kill 15, sekarang kill 14.
That they've got themselves in a great spot, and if we do see their best, everyone watch out. Unicorn's best, good enough. And so far, that's 3 teams that I've listed. That's already 3 major threats. That from night 1, FTF,
Ulti Raja banyak korban.
everyone else is looking to now track down over the next 3 nights. That's the key takeaway.
Ini nobar selama FTF main doang atau sampai selesai semua? Indo doang sih sejujurnya. Gue lagi pengen ngeramein tim Indo nih biar ke highlight aja guys. Siapa tahu kan, siapa tahu.
We haven't seen Armory Gaming speak, we haven't seen E-Arena speak, we haven't seen Day Trade speak, and so we saw a couple teams speak tonight, but there's still plenty more teams that have yet to show us their absolute best. But I think you're right. That is very.
Semenjak ditonton Mas Okto jadi chicken nih, anjing. Alhamdulillah guys kalau begitu. Janganlah kebalikannya. Tolonglah. Ucapan adalah doa loh. Nih yang baik-baik aja ya. Kompon UNC yang ditinggalkan gara-gara terpleset. Iya tapi itu sumpah. Si hadu itu siapa sih namanya itu? Dari UNC batu banget sih. Kacau itu. Nah Hudat nih. Si Hudat. Dia emang keras banget M-nya guys. Cuman tadi di sini kelihatannya Aukarin. Oh enggak, dari atas juga ternyata. Double pick itu. Nice. Itu kalau one on one kemungkinan besar masih menang tuh si Hudat guys. Aimnya ngeri banget. Tiap kali lu nonton WWC itu mantap, cocok. Tadi gua nonton dari buka puasa kan, wis chicken. Alhamdulillah akhirnya. Sekarang match ke-6. Gila. Kayaknya minimal tiap 3 match itu chicken ya. Amin. Amin ya. Match 3 sama 6. Sambil menunggu hasil overall ranking guys.
yeah, that was a bit of their downfall there. I think for Unicorn Cyber, they probably shouldn't be too upset considering they actually salvaged the game itself to finish second.
Aukarin W-nya WWCD nih, amin amin.
As you kind of mentioning, they probably would have felt like had they
semoga besok masih bisa bertahan, amin. Gue besok nggak bisa nobar sih. Semoga makin menyala ya. Minimal banget konsisten poin kill sama poin placement lah. Minimal banget tuh. Seenggaknya biar naik nggak stuck gitu loh guys. UNC langsung rapat internal gara-gara kepleset. Nggak, soalnya dia juga di-push sama 3 orang lagi sih, kan satu keculik sama si Hudat tuh ya. Kan masih ada 3 lagi ya, keputusan yang gambling juga sih. Dia mau bertahan, mampu ngenokin 2 tapi satunya nggak bisa ke instan kan percuma juga kan. Ini dari point of view si UNC tadi guys. Jadi sebenarnya sama aja. Kecuali dia bisa ngeratain 3 orangnya lagi. Rata semua FTF tuh sama dia tuh. Iya, dia tuh bantu timnya karena kan dipush sama D-Trade. Dia tuh ngepick bawah, ngepick D-Trade tadi karena D-Trade tuh masih berempat kan. Sedangkan timnya di bawah tuh lagi push banget sama E36 iya, sama D-Trade iya. Jadi dia ngepick kepleset, wajar lah manusiawi nggak sih? Ini dia guys perolehan poin. FTF mampu mengumpulkan 24 poin disusul UNC dengan 14 poin total. Dan D-Trade RS 10-10. Wah, lumayan juga. E36 akhirnya cukup menyala guys di match kali ini ya. Iya, UNC-nya kena sandwich deh. E36 sama FTF juga yang di atas sama D-Trade. Triple lah itu jatuhnya. Diki ada 2 di streaming Mas Nuk.
Mas Anis baru saja
Mas Nice. Anjing lu tahu banget meta ini ya, meta Google Translate ya. Ya Allah, makasih ya Bang ya.
Obviously that game was a little bit top
heavy, 14
nice.
And
24
Mas
for
Anis.
UNC and FTF. It was a fantastic game to spectate. We had a lot of
Mas
moments
Nice.
caught on camera for people to actually get a lot of value from.
Mas Nice,
so
Mas
overall, I'm happy with that game. That was a very fun game to watch.
Yeah, I'm happy with the night as a whole. I mean, it was really sensational PUBG to watch. I think we had some really good examples of really the APAC region continuing to push the boundaries for this particular region. You know, kind of been covering this region for quite a long time.
Ini dia guys, sesuai perhitungan kita ya. Karena kita ngitung berdasarkan fakta. FTF rank 1 dengan 68 poin, disusul UNC 53 poin, IE 45 poin, Chess 44 poin. Nah, kalau Chess di nomor 4, artinya AG nomor 5-nya ini masih bisa lolos guys. Kalau ini adalah hasil akhir ya. Karena Chess itu udah punya tiket duluan gitu, nggak mengganggu jadinya guys. Makanya gue dukung Chess sama Day-Trade juga kalau FTF tusun dari mereka ya, tusun duluan gitu. Karena mereka itu nggak ngaruh ke slot tuh. Lihat tuh yang hijau masih 1, 2, 3 sama 5. Mengerti kan guys? Begitu. Gila, bismillah besok. Menyala besok ya. RXE akhirnya turu. Guys, ingat guys, ini 16 tim, bukan kaleng-kaleng ya. Jangan salah gitu. Gua harus tetap antisipasi kita sama hari-hari berikutnya. Masih ada 3 hari lagi loh guys total. Semua 4 hari guys, 24 match, ini baru 6 match nih. Makanya harus banyak-banyak doa, jangan takabur kita nih.
BABANGSAT baru saja memberikan 2
party tipis-tipis hashtag 1.
Party tipis-tipis standar 1.
Alhamdulillah guys, kita partinya nanti di live streaming setelah ini ya. Sepertinya ya. Tapi ini votingnya, voting mana voting? 2 menit lagi guys, tanggung ya. Voting 2 menit lagi. Kita Itu lagu apa ya? Kok jadi kayak Surti? Voting 2 menit lagi abang-abang. 1 menit lagi terakhir ya. Nobar. Atau IDP. Atau kita panjangin ke jam 10.00 guys. Nanti nobar lanjut RP atau nobar aja toh. Nobar lanjut RP kalau ada waktu ya. E36 yang selalu lolos PGC di bawah loh. Itu dia guys. Abang-abangan loh dia guys. Itu dia dibantai sama FTF loh tadi 2 match di Angel. Gas nobar semoga MCG ikutin pecah telur #1. Amin. 2 kali FTF pecah telur guys hari ini ya. #1 apakah MCG di 2 match akan #1 semua? Ah, itu dia. Oke, jam 9.45. Sudah. Ini namanya voting tipis-tipis aja nih guys. Voting formalitas namanya. Sudah terpilih ya adik-adik ya. Kalau yang masuk berarti itu udah nggak bakal bisa sih ya. Sniper udah nggak mungkin. Karena ini memang ranahnya ranah e-sport. Gua bikin dulu live streaming berikutnya ya. Dengan judul Nobar IGMC. Mas Gifran. Lumayan, cuman nggak bunyi, harus 25.000 ya. Makasih Mas Gifran ya. Bismillah MCG. Biar wawancara amin. Tuh, tetap nggak masuk tuh.
MCG tanda pagar 1 biar diwawancara.
Gas. #MCG win ya. Nobar IGMC. Lanjut RP. Ada Idris di Nugi, betul. Lagi jadi penampungan guys rumah Nugi tuh. Kutukan lu pindah ke YP Mas toh lah, kutukan gua. Gak ada kutukan guys di kita. Guys tuh guys, Leo guys, aneh banget ya. Gak ada kutukan bro. Kalau ada kutukan mah gak lolos dari kemarin bang. Ah gila nih. Cocokologinya ingat guys, ucapan adalah doa. Gak usah ngomongin pakai teori-teori tai kucing guys, sumpah. Doakan yang terbaik, udah. Itu aja guys. Kuncinya satu itu ya. Apakah belum bisa diedit live streamingnya? Kita lihat. Srok. Oh udah bisa. Hari ini sudah lancar ya. Oke, thank you yang udah nonton PUBG. Apa jatuhnya? PUBG APAC Qualifier hari ini. Kita ketemu lagi nanti keesokan harinya lagi untuk nobar ya. Karena besok saya tidak bisa nobar untuk PUBG. Tapi hari ini ada 2 nobar nih yang bakal kita lakuin. Langsung aja kita ke live streaming selanjutnya. Bye bye guys. Thank you. Thank you Bang Firman, ditunggu ya di IGMC ya. Babang juga terima kasih. Mantap supportnya.